Hello folks, today we're very honored to have Mr. Stephen Huang, who is an NFT expert, right, and a consultant. The fact that he collected or invested 1,000 over pieces of NFT, right, and I believe that he have also been consulting many companies to go into that. So we would like to expound more about how NFT can actually help businesses to further expand our probably even reach to our target markets, or even to better retain our customers and clients. But to start off with, let's hear from Stephen. Okay, what makes him so interested into NFT?
So thank you, Jonathan. So first of all, I think that I wouldn't consider myself an expert, and also because if you do consider yourself an expert, I think you need to know every part of the puzzle. And NFT as a piece of technology is so big, so wide, and even if you spend, I think, 5 years studying it, you wouldn't know the whole picture. And every day there is something new, some new use case, some new smart contract that do different things. I would say that I'm a very avid learner of the space, and therefore I have a little bit of knowledge around NFTs. And so why am I interested? I think NFTs, they pull upon a very base desire of human beings, and that's ownership. We
Cool.
have a very deep desire to own things, and the blockchain and NFTs allows for the record of ownership in a very unique way. And for me, it is a sort of an immortalization of a thing. When you mint something on the blockchain or create an NFT, you are actually creating something that exists forever. Why do I say that? For those of you who may or may not know, NFTs once minted on the blockchain actually lives forever, because if you burn down the server, 1,000 other computers will have it. If you manage to hack into 1,000 computers, 10,000 other computers will have a record of it. That's the power of the blockchain. So with that unique ability to record something and prove it literally forever, as long as there is a spark of electricity somewhere, I feel that it's really an immortalization of something. I always give the example of Rolex. Right?
Sure.
Like people love to own Rolex. Some people love to own Rolex, and they are a very protective community. I remember as a young man, I went looking for one, and I went researching and talking about it on Facebook. And I looked at a particular piece, and I said in a Facebook group, I said like, oh, this piece is not gonna increase in value, it's just gonna maintain its worth. And like 3, 5, 7 uncles just came in and scolded me.
Oh dear, okay.
And because they are very protective of what they own, and they have a loyalty with regards to the brand that cannot be explained. And therefore they have very strong sense of belonging, and therefore they have to protect themselves, right?
Sure.
Their ideologies. Rolex does this and have been doing this for many years. They create something that is so unique, verify it, have certs that can be authenticated, and but not on the blockchain. And they have been drawing on this desire of human beings to own something. And if you own the real one, it means something. Now, if you own if you own a fake one, you actually get shamed for it, right? So NFTs, in its essence, at the very beginning of the hype and all that, was about this ownership. Yeah.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It sounds like the pride of specific value they have attached to.
Yeah.
So yeah, which couldn't really explain, because the value is very much depending on the owner, how they perceive it. But of course, it could be depending on the brand, how he has make it in such a way that the ownership value is I don't know whether they're going to price it at a certain specific, or it is quite priceless kind. But when you talk about immortality, it's like, it's going to outlive us,
It's gonna
pass it on to many
all of us.
generations, it's like a legacy. That I don't know how it can be equated in dollars and cents lah. So I suppose that kind of value is not very tangibly, can go and count, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Definitely, there are many people right now who have their own comments about valuations, and I feel like in the next 3 to 5 years, it's easy for a new industry to pop up in terms of valuing NFTs, just because there's a lot of them now. There's a lot of useful ones, valuable ones, and not valuable ones. So when you have that distinction, you will have some that is more valuable than others.
So how do we, if let's say we're the creator of this NFT, the business aspect, I actually create one NFT, how do we value that? And how can the value increase? It is like, I'm not too sure, what is the percentage of that weightage by the holder or so-called owner? Like if I'm the creator, am I the owner?
Yeah, so here's the interesting part. If you're the creator, right? You first own it and then you can sell it.
Okay, sure.
But it is forever recorded that you were the creator. So one of the first use case of NFTs was art. And we have moved way past that, but one of the first use case, or at least the argument of it was, look, artists can now create, sell their artwork and command a royalty on their artwork, right? If they mint it on the blockchain.
Okay.
Prior to this, there were a lot of artists that whose art pieces only sold for millions after they died, and none of that none of that money goes to their families or to them for that matter. So with the NFT, you can mint it on the blockchain, record it as yours, and potentially command a perpetual royalty whenever it's transacted. So imagine Mona Lisa. Every time it's transacted at $68 million or whichever the amount is right now, every time 2% of it goes to the original artist or the artist's family. Now this gives us a very unique opportunity because for years, right, all this money has been transacted via middlemen, the curators, the museums, right? And it's not bad, but the original creator gets nothing for years. And this presents us with one of the first and main use case of NFTs, which is to benefit the original creator of the art piece or the NFT.
Yeah. I think I love that because it gives the acknowledgement that that is the creator, right? And is at least is how do you call it? It's being recorded, right? As you mentioned, it's being recorded. And it's being acknowledged, and that's the legacy part of it because it's being recognized in terms of the
and also important to mention because your question was originally about the value of it. So important to mention that in today's in 2023, as we are doing this interview right now, in 2023, this is at this point in time, you can't just mint an NFT and make money already. This happened only in 2020 and 2021. From 2022 onwards, NFT creators, artists, and they had to do way more to curate actual value. So at some point, I think it was April 2022, when everybody actually woke up from it. Everybody said, wait a minute, why are we paying so much for JPEGs? Why are we paying so much for monkeys? Right?
Okay.
So at that time, creators, because it was the hype, they just had to create and mint. That's all they had to do.
Correct.
And a lot of people would, quote unquote, we call it ape as in a verb, ape into a project. That don't happen anymore. People do their own research. People find out what is the benefits that they can take up from your NFT before they invest or buy. I don't like to use the word invest, but I think buy would be a more accurate word. Before anyone buys nowadays, they will check, they will read, they will ask who you are, and which therefore also brings us to the question of how can you increase value. Last time you just had to mint, now you have to do way more. You have to create community, you have to ask yourself what's the utility, what is the use case, how are you gonna make it valuable, how can you include a function that authenticates it on your own platform. So you have to do way more today. I think Gary Vee first said this. He said like, NFT need to work way harder right now. We need to do way more so that we can justify the price that is currently selling in the secondary market. Just like any business, if it's valuable, some investor, banks, institution will hold the price at a particular floor. Or in the stocks, we call it support line. If there is no value, it is very easy for people to just sell till it's worthless.
Correct.
So yeah,
but just curious, how do we give a value to it? I mean, how do we measure the value by, the number of owners?
So I feel that in the next few years there will be people who like property valuations. There will be people who will become certified or educated to value NFTs, because NFTs is like a technology. It is not an industry.
Sure.
Let me say that again. It's not industry. It's a technology, which also means it can be in any sort of business.
Okay.
Which means you cannot have a overarching knowledge of this is how you evaluate, because if an NFT that is supposed to represent a title deed for a property will be evaluated differently from an NFT that gives you free beer, for example, right?
Okay.
So they will have two different checklists to value the NFT. So how do you value NFT is a very big question. I would say that there will be different types of checklists and valuations and structures around how each NFT is valued.
Okay.
And I also think there is going to be something like sort of like IP or some sort of intangible value that gets put into the valuation. So like for Disney, like most of their assets are not physical. It's not the buildings. It's not the assets are actually intangible, like IP, Mickey Mouse. So it's the same in the same tangent. NFTs will have that as well. Yeah.
Okay, pretty non-tangible, so that's why it's NFT.
Yeah. So like for people who trade, Disney stock, right? The value can be something, right? The value can be something, but the perceived trading price of the price action can be another. So like Warren Buffett likes to talk about the net asset value, right? The net asset value is something, but the secondary market, the stocks and the exchanges, they are trading at a different volume, different price. So it's the same. It's gonna be the same for NFTs. There are gonna be people who evaluate this NFT as this price, and that's the quote unquote NAV, but it's gonna be traded at a totally different price in the market. Yeah. So it's a I guess it's a fight of perceived value and intrinsic value, and and how everyone feels about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So NFT, we can actually, invest it for a little bit longer time for it to appreciate in value, or we can also trade it like buy and sell different NFT.
Yeah, you can do that.
Or
Yeah.
unless if the companies have that utility function, so we just tap on this NFT to becoming, I don't know, some kind of cash out or barter trade for their services. That's under the utility category, right?
Yeah, so I really like to use the word buy more than invest, just because of the way 2022 turned out. So in 2022 it's very interesting. Around April, projects started to mint at a certain price and then trade lower than the mint price.
Oh.
Multiple projects did that, and not all, multiple projects did that. And it's sort of like the awakening of collectors, the people who ape into projects. And I think the reason why that happened is because people saw people chasing the price, and then people saw the smarter people exit for profits. And because of all this going on, people started thinking that it is an investment and you sort of like have to exit at some point. I would say I bought NFTs. I bought into the idea. I bought into their roadmap. I bought into what they intend to do. I wouldn't call it an investment. And in fact, I'm a very big proponent of how can we use NFTs as a function of business, not as a tool for gaining money. It will come along the way. Having said that, NFT at its core is just a piece of technology that can be used in so many different ways. Yeah, so that's why I like to use the word buy.